You're listening to the Fatboy Show on RX Radio. Happy Easter Monday to you. Have you been enjoying the Easter holidays? Well, they are still ongoing, so enjoy what's left of it. What's the next holiday going to be after this one? Oh, May 1st, Labor Day. So there's that. So, that's another holiday to look forward to. Well, this is the Fatboy Show on RX Radio, and I'm here with Olive. As you know, on this show, we like to talk about a whole bunch of interesting things. And one of the things that we've discussed quite often is our hostility as a nation and as a culture towards this thing called homosexuality. Mostly it is just through lip service. We will say we hate it and we don't like the lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. But in practice, we really don't care all that much. At least that's my own perception. Many Ugandans at a personal level know of a homosexual or lesbian in their family or amongst their friends, and no one really seems to care.
Yeah.
It's just if you put a microphone to someone's face and say, what is your view on homosexuality? Of course, they'll be like, oh!
Everyone wants to be politically correct.
Right. So in Uganda, being politically correct on the LGBT question is to denounce it, to reject it.
To be disgusted.
And to be disgusted by it. And perhaps the most prominent advocate of that position in this country is none other than our president, who has called on Africa to save the world from homosexuality.
How are we supposed to do that?
Save the world. We're now superheroes. It's to save the world. Museveni says homosexuality is a danger to procreation of the human race.
On that, he's right.
Well, the thing is...
No.
How are they a danger to procreation? Because I don't think straight people ever cease to exist.
No, they won't cease to exist, but you see, the pandemic that is homosexuality is taking over, and if we're not careful, there is going to come a day when, if let's say we are right now we are 8 billion people around the world. Imagine if at some point we are like 15 billion people and 6 of those are homosexuals, or 7.5. You see, and of course today we already have countries where procreation numbers are already on the down low, like in China, in South Korea, in Japan, and then that is just gonna increase in different countries.
But I don't think, I feel like if you view it as a problem, I feel like it's a self-correcting problem. I feel like homosexuals need straight people to exist. This is how they are born anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Every homosexual or lesbian alive today is alive because a man and a woman,
a heterosexual couple decided to mate and have a child. Yeah.
You get it? So regardless of if they hate us, they need us. Heterosexuals,
that's why some of them go ahead to have children through donors and surrogates.
Well, if that's the goal, to eradicate natural birthing processes and for children to be born through artificial means, artificial wombs, I've been seeing stories about that, then maybe there's a cause for concern. But as of now, I would say not so much. But what surprises me mostly is that for some reason the West has decided that this is a hill they're willing to die on. Like, they have staked so much of their credibility on this one issue, they are more vocal on it than on any other issue. Like, you can have political prisoners, political dissidents rotting in your jails, they won't care. But if your country happens to have laws not favoring LGBT, then they're gonna come out from all the cracks and crevices. Exactly. Like, how can this be for them the most important issue?
Well, they say that they're being inclusive and that they respect each and every person's human rights. So they argue about homosexuality from the perspective of human rights. And to a degree, they're right, because we keep saying here, someone should not be sent to the guillotine, given the death sentence because they are gay. That's not okay. They have a right to do what they want to do with their bodies.
Well, okay, so I do take that libertarian stance also. Any action between consenting adults, I believe, should not be the purview of the state to intervene at all, regardless of whether you find their actions objectionable. It is for them to answer to their conscience or to their maker.
To their God, yes.
If they are religious.
Yeah, because if you say you're Christian and you say that you are practicing Christian and then you say you read the Bible, but also you're gay, there I have reason to question you. I'm like, are you sure you and I read the same Bible? But for the state to say, we will take you to prison because of this, that's a stretch.
For as long as the West continues its pressure on this issue, and they seem to be quite selective, you'll never see them going to an Arab country and saying all this stuff. And yet the laws there are much harsher than the ones in Africa. Very few of the laws in African countries prescribe death sentences for
and even where they
acts.
do, they don't carry through with it. But let me tell you something. I don't know if you'll let me, but I've had alleged stories of homosexuality in the Arab countries. No one is moving on the street with rainbow colors, wearing rainbow colors, or, speaking about homosexuality on national television, but it is rumored. It exists there
of course,
a lot.
Every human society has its people of that lifestyle and proclivity. It's a given. For any population of people, there will be some who are of that orientation. So in any country, no matter how conservative they might be. But to your point, in those Arab countries, often they use strict Sharia law where the penalty is death. They're sometimes thrown off of tall buildings, as we've seen in some countries like, I don't know if it's Syria or Iran or elsewhere. Their heads are chopped off or they're hanged. And, that's very unfortunate. But I'm saying we're not seeing America say anything to those countries. And
you know why?
When it comes to Africa, we don't hear the end of it.
Let me tell you, it's like you not having money to pay your rent, and your landlord starts having an affair with your husband or your wife, okay? And when you complain, they're like, okay, so you should prepare to leave my house. What do? You're going to painfully stomach that affair, even if you know it's wrong. So that's what's happening with America and Africa. They finance us, they call the shots, and they are trying their level best to have us accept everything, even that which goes against our values.
I would think that we should try a new rhetorical trick in countering their propaganda.
What do we do?
And the pressure. I think we have to start to use the term either cultural colonialism or social colonialism, something like this. Because typically, gay LGBT advocates tend to be very politically progressive and left-wing and anti-white. So if, they're all for racial justice and all that kind of stuff. So if you use their language to criticize what they're forcing on you, you put them in an awkward position. So if they come to you to say, oh, love is love is love, a man and a man can love.
Anti-culture.
Yeah, you can say, but you are being a cultural colonialist.
But haven't we lost that card though? We've
not played it enough.
We lost that card the minute we allow those people to come into our countries and tell us that our gods are evil and tell us that our culture and values were, what's that word? Backward? Ancient, that we had not tested civilization. We lost all that the minute we allowed them to come here and tell us that they found the source of the River Nile.
Okay, so the thing is, we have to fight back still.
We have to find something.
And the way to fight back is to appropriate their language, because they're very good at appropriating other people's language. They appropriated the rainbow, a very mundane color combination.
The other day, my daughter was telling me, Mommy, on my birthday, I need you to buy me a rainbow dress. And I'm like, this is a 5-year-old who is looking forward to her birthday. She has no idea about rainbow and, the LGBTQ community. And if I can find a rainbow dress, I'm going to buy it.
Well, and you should. But I was just making the point of how they have appropriated many of the symbols of just normal popular culture and have made it theirs, and in so doing sort of inserted themselves into the cultural conscience. And so similarly, we should do the same to now appropriate their language and use it against them rhetorically to put them in a position where it's hard for them to force their ideas on you. Because I feel like if you say, you're just being a colonialist. You are imposing your beliefs on us. This is colonialism harkening back to the horrors of the 18th and 17th centuries. At the very least, you will give them pause. They'll be like, no, but there'll be a mental block for a few seconds. And I think that's where you keep hammering them.
That we can do, and I believe that presidents like Museveni have actually tried to use that. But the challenge is that who controls the purse strings?
Well, we know that
leaves us in a corner because, like I told you some time back, how much the U.S. Spends about $500 million annually into health in the health sector in Uganda, and that includes efforts like fighting against HIV/AIDS, and they were threatening to pull that funding from us.
Well, we have to start.
They start like that, so I don't know.
Okay, so no, there's ways of winning battles. Sometimes you can have a direct confrontation and score a decisive victory, but sometimes you can win by inflicting 1,000 cuts. You've heard of death by 1,000 cuts. This is how empires typically collapse. And so if we can
what's death by 1,000 cuts?
Basically, if you try to attack an elephant with a club and bash it over the head, you're probably not going to succeed in taking it down.
Yeah.
But, you 12 of you with your spear, you just poke it here a little bit, you poke it there a little bit, poke it there a little bit, poke it there a little bit. Eventually, it bleeds out to the point where it's now too weak to fight, and then you can land the finishing blow. So I don't know if this analogy makes sense, but essentially, for those who wish to challenge this imposition of these sorts of beliefs and lifestyles, is just find the weak spots and attack there. And I don't mean in a very hostile way, but you see, for them, they view this as warfare, which is why they utilize their financial power over us to control us. So they're not playing games. Perhaps maybe it is time for also us to stop playing games and just find their weak spots, exploit those, cause some injury there, and then slow down their momentum, weaken them, and eventually get to a point where they are unable to continue to force their beliefs, because ultimately that is the issue here. If they were just being activists saying, hey, here's what we believe, let people be, please consider letting people be, we think it's a good thing, thank you, have a nice day, bye. If that was their whole thing, no problem. But you're
saying you're going to pull out what you've been giving me, it means I must do what you want me. It's blackmail.
If you're trying to destroy my businesses, trying to get me cancelled, trying to deny me visas to enter countries, like, now that's very aggressive.
That's you using the upper hand. And when you say beliefs, it actually just made me think. Just like Christianity and Islam was sold to us back centuries ago, the belief of homosexuality is being sold to us. And this time aggressively. Even maybe last time it was aggressively. Because they came with a Bible and a gun in one hand. That's why today I have so much respect for the Omuka Makabalega, because he's the only king in this country that fought against colonialism.
And he lost.
Badly. But did he even, you see, they came in, arrested him, sent him to Seychelles and some other prison, and he died there. No one knows how he died or what they did to him. So essentially, I don't know, did he really lose?
They should make a movie about Kabalega.
Yeah.
Quite a character. So shall Africa save the world from homosexuality? I don't know. We have a lot of things to save ourselves from. How about, Mr. President, you save Africa from poverty, from corruption, and from child abuse, sex abuse, defilement.
And the high cost of living.
How about you save us from all those things before you worry about
what people do in their bedrooms.
Homosexuals. And to the aggressive LGBT activists and their allies, you're doing it the wrong way, because ultimately, and research bears this out, antagonistic views against LGBT people has increased in the last 10 years. And yet it had decreased in the 10 years prior. Because people had become sort of willing and accept, like in the 90s, we all watched Tom Hanks in Philadelphia, and we were like, oh, I'll see how gay people suffer. And then we started to see a few sympathetic gay characters appear in a few sitcoms here and there. And we were like, okay, they're cool people. So
they're funny.
Yeah.
They're nice to they have a good vibe.
Exactly. And gay characters started to be every straight person's best friend in rom-coms. So everyone was like,
and they started making love on screen.
No problem. Yeah, but then it seemed like that wasn't enough, to where now it's like, yo, you need to beat us over the head with it. That's where you cross the line, and that's where the problem is. And unless you, just course correct, take a few steps back and go back to just being chill and just happily coexisting, even with those who disagree with you, I think the antagonism is just going to escalate, and who knows where it will go from there. But we'll see. Keep listening to The Fatboy Show. It's your number one station, RX Radio.